Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast Offseason Preview Series, where Bryce Simon and I dive into all 30 NBA teams' off seasons and discuss all of the decisions that they have forthcoming in order to better position themselves for the future. Today, we're going to talk about the Miami Heat. Before we dive in, though, we got to say thank you to all of you. Over 37,000 of you have subscribed to the Game Theory YouTube channel. Go keep hitting that subscribe button. We appreciate all of you immensely for rocking with us and hanging out and listening and enjoying the way that Bryce and I talk ball. Bryce, the Miami Heat are in a really weird spot. That's just what it strikes me as more than anything. They have really good players in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, two All-Stars. Hero obviously made the All-Star game this season. They have a number of players that they have drafted recently that have had like one successful season and maybe like one that was like a little bit down comparatively, like Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, I think maybe didn't take the step forward that Miami fans hoped that they would this year. But then like Khalil Ware looked really solid as a rookie at the very least, made the all rookie team and was deserved, I think, as an all rookie guy for sure. But it just doesn't feel like they have the guy. And I don't know how they go about getting the guy right now. And I wonder if this offseason is more about setting up for the next offseason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why it's such a weird team. The way you said it's such a unique, weird situation with the Heat. Like Bam Adebayo, still had a good defensive season. The offensive season was talked about and rightfully so. I thought Tyler Hero in the role performed like admirably, averaging 24 a game on 47, 38, 88, 5.5 assists, over 5 rebounds. I thought he actually had a really good year, but I don't think either of us think like, hey, Tyler Hero's the answer as your number one option and best offensive player, even though he is very, very good. And so then it's like, well, what does that mean? This seems like a team that always has a superstar, right? Like Pat Riley always gets his guy. And right now they don't. And then to your point, is it, okay, we have the two big names, right? Are they a Giannis team? Are they a KD team? And then if they're not, is there some name out there that we're not all talking about? Or do they just go back and play another year of Hero and Bam and these other guys, see what the young guys are, probably make the play in again, maybe sneak into the top 6 somehow, lose in the first round, and then go star hunting in 2026.
So as we kind of jump into this, their financial picture is like interesting in some way because they're about 15 million away from the first apron, 27 million away from the second apron, 10 million away from the luxury tax. And that is for, what is that? Like 13 guys, including the Keyshawn Johnson team option that they have as well. So they're not far off of being able to use the full mid-level exception if they want to. And I think they could very easily figure out a way to do that if they wanted to. But they're also in a situation where looking into next summer, the summer of 2026, they have Bam Adebayo's extension kicking in at 51 million. They have Tyler Hero at 33 million. They have Andrew Wiggins on the books right now for 30 million. It's about 111 million, let's call it, right? After that, it's Khalil Ware in his cheap deal. It's Jaime Jaquez in his cheap deal. It's Nikola Jovic's bird rights, which your restricted free agency in bird rights, which right now that qualifying offers like 13 million. Cap hold would be like right around 20-ish or so. If they really maneuvered around and got rid of the Andrew Wiggins deal, for instance, for an expiring deal, they could very easily be in the max salary market space if they wanted to be. On top of that, a lot of guys just don't hit free agency anymore. That's kind of the reality of the new NBA, right? A lot of times guys just don't get there. But they do have almost all of their picks back finally, right? And they have this interesting collection of young talent that we'll have to talk about. I almost think that's like the most important part of this conversation. We know what Tyler Hero is. We know what Bam Adebayo is. Trying to figure out what their kids are is like really difficult and interesting in some way. Is there a way that they could get into like a star trade, given that they have all of their picks but one, really? Like they don't have this year's pick and they don't have the pick that they sent to Charlotte for Terry Rozier, but they also have the incoming one from Golden State this year, which is number 20, if I remember correctly. So they're in a space where they could actually get creative in trying to acquire a star, but do they have the best pick package to actually be able to collect and send to another team? Not really. Do they have the best accumulation of young talent to be able to send to another team? Not really. Certainly not like Houston. Certainly not like San Antonio. A couple other teams, come to mind before them. Figuring out how they handle this weird situation where they're in the middle is a very tricky concept to me. And I'm still trying to navigate it with them.
Well, and the thing is with them also, what is left over after you make that trade? Like, to your point, in terms of you're going to have to match salary, and you have the salary. So like, that's another positive thing. You have Hero on 31, Wiggins on 28, Rozier on 26.5, Duncan Robinson at 20. I know there's not fully guaranteed on both of those deals, but I mean, so you have different options there, but what's left over once you add those guys, what's left over of the young guys, if you trade all your picks. So like, that's the other thing as well is, okay, let's say you go get KD. What does KD, Bam, and then who do you keep around them to like actually build that out? Like, is Hero also part of that, that trio? And then it's the young guys you could keep, like, if I'm a team, the first young guy I'm asking about is Khalil Ware. Well, who's playing center for your team if you trade Khalil Ware and you get back Kevin Durant? You know what I mean? And so it's...
Well, you just go small with Bam at that point, right?
Sure, you can. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just... I think they probably have assets to get involved in all of these conversations. They have the contracts to make the money work. It's just like, is that enough to then really compete? Is adding Kevin Durant to the, like obviously adding Giannis would, because Giannis makes any team competitive, but right. I don't know that they have the assets to win the Giannis sweepstakes. I'm thinking more like they have the assets to go get Kevin Durant if they really want to get involved with that.
So here would be the thing. I guess we can talk about the stars up front because, it's an interesting conversation, at least. It would depend on what Milwaukee is looking for to me. Because if I'm Miami and I'm looking at Giannis and building around Giannis long-term, I don't like the Bam Adebayo fit with Giannis, right? So to me, Bam is probably the centerpiece in a Giannis deal, right? If you're going to get Giannis, like we don't like the way that Bam and Giannis fit together.
No. As I was talking through, I was talking through that. I was gonna say that I didn't know how much we wanted to get into the Giannis thing. Yeah, I don't love it. No.
So, if Milwaukee just wants to like continue to like be good, getting Bam and like a bunch of assets is not a bad starting point. Certainly, Bam is under contract long term. He has 3 years left beyond this one, plus a team option in player option in 2028, 29. If they could get draft picks from Miami or like some of these young players from Miami as well, like if you could do Bam and Ware and draft picks, it's kind of an interesting conversation. If you're Milwaukee, at least I would like to keep Ware if I'm building around Giannis because Ware has potential to shoot it. Like that's actually a really interesting player to have next to Giannis. And if I was them, Ware would be the player I would want to keep out of the deal if I could. But if I'm Milwaukee, I want Ware in that deal, obviously. So it's like a weird push-pull there. But if it's Bam, if it's, other guys, like do they have any other young player that you're really truly like, I gotta have them in a deal for Giannis?
No, I mean, Jovic is probably the most interesting next name, like just in terms of like interesting, right? And I feel like they gave him, he's started a little bit for him this year. Like I feel like he's gone in waves where it's been like, oh man, this is really about to hit. This is really interesting, he started all 5 playoff games, not in 24-25, but in 23-24, shot over 40% from 3. It looked like he was coming back for a big year this season, and it didn't like pop crazy, but he's got size and skill. He can shoot it. I think he would probably be the one that was most interesting over even Jaquez or, in anybody else, I guess.
Well, look, like I don't think Jovic has had some like weird injury things, not like, long-term injury things, right? Like he broke like a bone in his hand this year and missed 36 games, right? But like he has only played 46 games in each of the last 2 years, right? So he's not played over 46 yet in a season, which is weird if you're trying to evaluate him as a prospect to acquire in a deal. I like Jovic. I agree with you. He's probably, him and Ware are the two guys that like I would want in a deal. But, is he like a must-have in a deal? I'm not sure, honestly.
So this is my thing. So let's say you trade Bam, Ware, Jovic, and whatever picks to get to Giannis. Is Tyler Hero, Wiggins, Giannis enough? Like, I guess in the East, you
better
feel like
than where they are now, for sure.
Yeah, that's sure. And I'm sure.
Like, are you maxing yourself out though? Is the question.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess in the East you talk yourself into it because of where Boston's at going into next season and the uncertainty around Cleveland. Yeah. Maybe you do. Maybe you do go for it then if you're Miami.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, I'm not doing that if I'm Milwaukee. Like, I just think there are better offers on the table.
No,
if I'm Milwaukee.
For sure. Yeah.
So unless Giannis like says, Miami's best bet right now to me is a star going, I want to go to Miami. Point blank.
Giannis crushes the market so Miami can have a good enough deal to make it happen. Yeah.
Correct. That to me is like the best case scenario right now for Miami. And we've seen it before. It's not impossible.
Sure.
Like this could absolutely happen. It's worth bringing up. Miami's a great place to live for NBA players. The state income tax situation in Florida is fantastic for NBA players. Like there are a lot of benefits to Miami, and obviously Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg and Adam Simon, like those guys are great front office executives. And when we bring up these questions about what they've done, it's just that they're in like kind of a tough situation right now in terms of strategy. If there's anybody I trust to figure it out and get them out of that spot, like I trust that trio. I think those guys are really good and really sharp.
Okay, so back to does the KD one then
Kevin Durant,
is that one more interesting? Because like you countered correctly in terms of, okay, you just move Bam back to the center position, which he's played plenty of minutes at. So moving Ware in that scenario is not as big an issue as what I thought initially. You would still need to find somebody to come off the bench and play minutes there. The return isn't going to take as much. And do
we think, there's a chance that Phoenix would do Wiggins, Ware, and like Duncan Robinson in number 20 for Durant? Or does somebody outbid that?
So I think that's more like who out there is going to be willing to give more than that. Cause for Phoenix, I don't hate that. Where at the center spot is interesting for them.
Would you rather have from Houston number 10 Jalen Green and something else? But that's the question, right? Like it's not something you have to answer necessarily. Like those are the questions.
I hate the Jalen Green. Like I hate adding Jalen Green to that team with Booker and all. Like I don't love that.
I'm not a fan of it either.
Like for Phoenix, what I like is Khalil Ware comes in and starts at center for me. Wiggins comes in, and I realize Andrew Wiggins is overpaid and not what everybody wanted him to be. He averaged 19 on 46, 36, 73 this year. Not the defender he was when he was in Golden State, but like he goes in and he like makes that Suns team better. And by all accounts, I would assume Phoenix wants to continue to keep winning as much as possible, like not go tank mode or something, right?
So here'd be my thing on a Kevin Durant deal for Miami in terms of how I would attack it if I was Miami. Kevin Durant kind of works for me because he is somebody that has an expiring deal next year, right? If I'm Miami, I would not want to give up any of my future pick capital. I would give up number 20 this year.
Yeah, sure.
And I would probably do Khalil Ware for Kevin Durant. I wouldn't feel great about it, but I think Hero, KD, Bam Adebayo, Jovic, Hawkes, whatever you could do with the taxpayer mid-level or the non-taxpayer mid-level at that point. You have Haywood Highsmith, who's an awesome defensive player. Kyle Anderson is still there. Whatever is going on with the Terry Rozier situation, I don't really want to touch that in this video. There's a world where you can come to this team being like a top 4 contender in the East next year, if that's your core, I think.
Yeah.
But Kevin Durant turns 37 next year. I love Kevin Durant. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Age comes for everybody, right? I think KD was phenomenal. I think he was unbelievable this season, even though they were not a very good team in Phoenix. You look through his numbers, he averaged 27, 6 and 4, shooting 53, 43, 84. And I thought early in the season, particularly, he was very valuable for them on defense. But Kevin Durant played 62 games this season, played 75 the year before, but 47, 55, 35. And then the year before was the Achilles injury. So I think that if you're getting Kevin Durant, you're kind of anticipating a similar situation to what they had already with Jimmy Butler, where he's going to miss 20 to 25 games a season. And that's just the reality, unfortunately, of being 37 years old and playing in the NBA. So when they lose KD for those 20 games, are they able to succeed enough to tread water to get a good seed and give themselves like a little bit better of a draw in the playoffs? Maybe.
And so is the idea here with this would been like, you're just bringing KD in for a year. Like you're just like, this is a 1 year to make us as competitive as possible in 25, 26. And then we're still the players in cap space in 2026 that we want to be.
I like the flexibility that it brings.
Sure.
Is what I would say. I'm not saying that he's definitely a 1 year player, but I like the idea of having the flexibility to be able to play in both markets. Like, hey, we're getting a star now, but we're also like having the ability to potentially, move on if necessary. Right. And go get another guy that's younger and a little bit better.
That's what I like about the Durant conversation here more than the Giannis, along with the fact, like we said, like you're just going to have to,
I just think Miami gets outbid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I do just think Miami gets outbid. Like if San Antonio wants to get Giannis, like Steph Castle is a better asset than anything here. Number 2 pick certainly is a better asset than anything here. The number 14 pick is a better asset than anything that Miami can bring. Outside of Ware, I would say Ware is probably worth more than the 14 pick, but I would not say Jovic is worth more than the 14th overall pick, just given the contract control that comes with.
Yeah.
So it is a complicated thing for Miami to go get Giannis. It would have to be a situation where Giannis publicly says, I want to go to Miami, and in 2 years I am going to Miami. And even then, Bryce, I think he's so good and just like such a good dude that I still think like Houston would go for it.
Yeah.
Like I think they'd just be like, all right, let's open up a 2 year window with Giannis. That's kind of the complicated thing. He's so good. Like it's better than AD. It's better than Lillard. Like he's so talented that it just might not matter.
Yeah. No, I think KD makes a lot of sense here. I like the idea of this. Again, if this is the kind of trade you could construct to get him, right? And it's like not knowing what other teams like that may be out there saying like, he's the missing piece that's going to take us to a championship. And so we're willing to outbid that.
Yeah. So talking through all of this, we should talk about the kids here because I do think that they are. It's the most interesting conversation here. Like Tyler Hero has become an incredible offensive player. He had an amazing offensive basketball season. I still have questions defensively, but like the level he has taken a leap to offensively went way underrated this year. And we talked about that during All-Star. I don't think we would have had him as an All-Star, but I had him like in the top 13, 14, 15. So him getting named one didn't bother me. Bam Adebayo is fantastic. He had a bit of a downturn offensively this year, but it just felt like there was so much on his shoulders at times because of the talent around him that it was just a little bit more difficult and challenging. Where are you actually? Like, do you think Khalil Ware is like a real potential, all-star center? Because that's what this comes down to. Do you think Nikola Jovic is going to turn into a genuine like difference maker starter at the 3-4? Do you think Jaime Jaquez can bounce back? Like, are there any of the kids that you kind of want to talk about here?
No, I don't think Khalil Ware is. I don't know that I see like all-star center with him. Cause what all-star center, we're talking top 6 to 8 center in the league, depending on like injury, whatever.
Yeah.
I see Khalil like definitely getting into like the top 20, maybe top 15 centers in the NBA in terms of like, because all the tools were there. Going back to the pre-draft process, we knew the tools were there. It was just like, was he going to be able to put it all together? And we said it on draft night that this was a great spot for him to realize his potential. Totally. So I could see like a top 15 again, maybe top, like right there on the borderline. I don't know that I see like consistent all-star center. Like maybe he makes an all-star team or something like that. Jovic to me is just like a rotational guy. And I don't know. I came away kind of concerned about Jaquez's second year. It just didn't seem like it just wasn't the same as what we saw in year one with him. And so to me, that's another like rotation. Like, I don't know that I'm counting on either of those guys to be long-term starters for this team, I guess.
I think Jovic can be for sure. Let's start with Ware. I think Ware's upside is like a Miles Turner type for sure. I think his defense is a little bit behind Turner's defense and where that was when Turner entered the league for sure. But I think he's actually like a little bit better of a play finisher on the interior. Like he's just a better athlete than what Miles Turner was, even entering the league and certainly than what he is now. Like Khalil is like a very explosive basketball player who can really like a lob threat on top of having some potential gravity as a shooter. He hit 32% on 2 3-point attempts per game this year. If he becomes like a real dude as a shooter, he might be incredibly valuable, given the way that the league is going. But the defense is a concern. Like I like having Bam next to him. Hopefully Bam can like help teach him some of the tricks of the trade. Right. Yes. Jaquez, the thing with Jaquez is like, even during his rookie season, you had to be so intentional with how you use him from a spacing perspective. Like if you're going to use these like mid post kind of post up things, you almost need to play him like with a spacing, multiple spacer. Like he has to have 3 spacers out there at all times. And the team just like doesn't have a lot of guys that really get guarded from 3. So he is just kind of like a situational player to me, unless he becomes a real shooter. And like, he's just not comfortable shooting threes right now. You can see it and you can feel it whenever he catches like beyond the 3-point line to me. So I do have some worries about him. I think he can be valuable if you're intentional about how you use him, but you are going to have to do that. Right. And then I think I like Jovic more than him. I would say for sure. Like Jovic feels like the kind of guy that is versatile enough, is like a passer, shooter, has real size at like 6'9" to 6'10", defends at a reasonable level to me, like not terrible. Given the fact that he is still only 21 years old and, turns 22 right around the time this video comes out, maybe like a little bit after this, he's one that like I would very strongly consider going down the road of. And here's my next question for you on Jovic. He is extension eligible this summer.
Of course he is.
Of course he is, right? Definitely below 20 to me. Like no questions, like below 20 on him. If I could get him for like what the Corey Kispert deal was, which I think was like $455 or so, I would do that. Like right now with Jovic. I don't know if I would go beyond like a certain number. I wouldn't go beyond 60, I think, with Jovic right now.
Yeah, my immediate thought was like, I don't know that I would do the in non-tax MLE, which is right in the range of numbers we're talking about. So yeah, 4 for 55 is what, 13 and some change, a little under 14. Yeah. That's the most for me right now. Maybe I'm a little too low on him. He is definitely interesting, but that's the range. I think the non-tax MLE range is what I would be comfortable with.
Basically, it's like just slightly more than what his cap hold would be is the key. So his cap hold right now, because last season he started, I believe, 10 games. So under 50% of his games and under half of the season, his cap hold would be slated at 13.3 million.
Yep.
So if they do want to utilize any flexibility in the summer of 2026, you wouldn't want to go too far beyond that. Otherwise, you're just better off extending this out into the future a little bit. You know what I mean? And just saying, hey, prove it and go we'll deal with it in restricted free agency. But if he was willing to take a deal that was, 13 to 16 million dollars a year, I would do that if I was them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you say, because it doesn't change the flexibility. Well, I mean, you could get out of the cap hold, but it really doesn't change the flexibility that we talked about at the top with that offseason cap space.
Yep. I mean, the other guy we haven't talked about is Pele Larson. I thought he gave them some interesting minutes from time to time last year. I do think he's just kind of limited, but probably a bench player long term, like a guy that could be like a useful rotation player moving forward. I love Haywood Highsmith. I do just want to shout out Haywood Highsmith here. One of my favorite players to watch, probably defend in the NBA, just because he is so tough and physical. The guy we haven't talked about yet is Davion Mitchell. And this is like one of the most complicated restricted free agencies I can remember in a long time. I have no idea what to do with him. Do you?
I mean, good for him for having such a good season, like coming down there and playing so well.
He was awesome for them. He was so good for them.
And then he did it in the playoffs, right? Like, I mean, it was a 4-game sweep. So like, whatever, but he was good in his minutes. And we talk all the time about like guys taking advantage of their opportunities and stuff like that. Don't overpay that. Don't overpay that.
I just want to call out Davion Mitchell's playoff run, by the way.
Yeah, give the numbers. They're awesome.
15 points, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, shooting 61, 50, 43, which like the 43 is funny from free throw line, but like also did this while defending his balls off. Like that dude defends constantly. He's definitely a valuable player. Like if he is offensively viable, he is a real, like, this is a playoff player to me. What do you pay for that?
So here's what you have to decide. He has consistently gotten better from three every year of his NBA career.
Yes.
Now the volume,
it was like that in college, by the way, too.
Yeah. The volume isn't great. This is a tough one. I wouldn't go crazy though here if I'm Miami. Like, be careful. Tread lightly is what I would say.
Like I would do like 330 with like a team option.
So
maybe? That's
what I was try to keep it under 10 was where my head immediately went. So I just don't think that's like going to just like crush you if it ends up being like and he's not going to be a complete fluke because he plays too hard and provides too much defensively. Like he just may not be a playoff guy because he can't shoot it well enough to play in an extended playoff run, but he's a valuable regular season player. I think, he's shown that throughout his career, in my opinion. Right. And here's the other thing, Sam, availability, 75, 80, 72, 74. Those are games played in the first 4 years of his career.
And the other thing about him too is just like, I think he is one of those guys that it's really good to have around your team in general. Like that's what it's always felt like to me with him. People will just like go out of their way to like praise his like mentality and the way he goes about like trying to work and get better and everything like that. So he does fit the Miami Heat ethos in a real way. 330 with a team option feels fair because it's slightly more than the qualifying offer. The qualifying offer is 8.7. I think I do give him the qualifying offer if I'm Miami. And if I'm them, I'm like, hey, let's find a number that's just like slightly more than the qualifying offer, maybe a bit less than the, non-taxpayer mid-level.
You know what it's a little bit more than though, Sam? It's a little bit more than the room exception. Well, no, the room exception wouldn't matter. I was thinking for better team. So it's the room exception is not going to come into play. My bad. That was dumb. Sorry.
So, one thing I will say though, like if you do 330, it becomes harder to use your full non-taxpayer. Like you'd almost have to find a space for like Duncan Robinson somewhere to be able to use your non-taxpayer mid-level. You'd probably lock yourself more into the mini mid-level and like a biannual exception situation, as opposed to being able to like go out and get like a real player like that. I think I would do that if I'm them. Like I would be fine with giving Davion some pretty real money. I really liked the fit with Hero too. Like that kind of worked as a good guard to have next to him. And if he continues the road he's on, great. If he doesn't, it's not so onerous to where you can't get out of it pretty quickly. 330 with a team option feels like the fairest thing for everybody here to me.
Yeah, I was thinking the taxpayer, making sure you were over the taxpayer MLE, which 10 is well over that. So, but
like more than anything, if he's going to do a deal, like you have to get over the qualifying
offer. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yep.
So if you're going to qualify him, if not, then he becomes an unrestricted free agent, and somebody might give him like the room exception for like 4 years or something, or something like that. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they do with Davion. That feels like the fairest number to me, though, personally. And then you have like that's a situation where it would be an expiring deal next summer. It wouldn't hurt your flexibility. You could easily move that contract, I think, or you might have just like a real point guard moving forward, because he looked like a real point guard for them at certain, like down the stretch here at a certain point. Number 20. Any thoughts on who they should be looking at here?
All right, let me look at my board here and see. I mean,
I probably would be like comfortable taking another point guard if they fell.
So I know Traore, if he's there.
Like if Traore got there, if I don't think Fears gets there, but like if Yegor Demon is there, Jace Richardson is probably a name for them. Walter Clayton would be like a real name for them, for me. Fits a lot of, what I think of when I think of the Miami Heat.
I was just like looking at like, neither of us think he'll be there, but like Coward, I feel like would be awesome there.
Be great there. Be fantastic there.
That was the first name that popped up in terms of like, okay, this guy's higher on my board than this spot, but if this guy fell, this would be a great.
Would for sure be top of my board for that.
Yeah. What about like the Asa Newell, Noah Essengay, Rasheer Fleming, like any of those guys like stand out to you in a Miami Heat way, fit this roster type of way?
So like, I don't mind it. I honestly think that they are basically in a point where they can take the best non-center available, is my theory. Even if they wanted to take a center, like I probably wouldn't take a center if you're just planning on building around Bam and Khalil. Like that feels like your core duo here.
And that's your 48 minutes essentially, right? Like you play Bam at center when Khalil's not playing. So
yeah, it's just kind of best non-center to me for them is the easiest thing. And for me, like Noah Penda would be in that mix. I don't know if he's quite there for everybody. Walter Clayton, Nolan Traore, Neek Clifford, Essengay, like sure. Will Riley, sure. Jace Richardson, Yegor Demon. Like it just depends on what they want to do. How they evaluate these guys. I have really close grades on all of those players. Some of them have like high ceiling, floor is outside of the NBA to me, like Demon, for instance. Will Riley probably to some extent too, if he doesn't improve the shooting and frame. Noah Penda, I think, is like maybe like a bit lower ceiling, but has some like real skills, is a solid defender. Like there's a lot there that he can do. I really like Walter Clayton, man. The more I watch Walter Clayton, the more I like I have him at like 17 or 18 right now. So if he was there, he'd be pretty high for me, for them.
Yep. No, I agree.
And if they want to take the Essengay flyer, like, sure. I think he's a big more than a wing, but like he's a 4.
Yeah. More than like a 5. Like he's too high of hips. He's not going to be like physically capable of dealing with 5s consistently. The ceiling there is,
something like what Pascal Siakam is, but he's so far away from it. Like, it's going to take forever for him to reach that point. Miami does a great job developing these guys. If I was them, like, I might be more inclined to take a ceiling player.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I think that's all I've got on Miami. Like, it feels like to me, we kind of talked about the trade potential. I'm either going star hunting or I'm like treading water. If I'm Miami is kind of the thing. And I know that like kind of sucks to say in an offseason preview, but it does feel like they are finally gearing up for the summer of 2026 where they have more flexibility. They're in a situation now where they finally have like most of their picks back in the stable here to be able to utilize in different ways. So I like the situation they're in, at least if I'm a Heat fan. It's just that we might be a year away from being able to like totally take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Bryce, tell the people where they can find you. Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah. At Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky, got the Substack, the Pistons Pulse podcast. Otherwise, the Game Theory podcast here with Sam Vecenie. Thank you for all listening. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, share, tell a friend, help us keep growing.
Go to The Athletic. Keep me employed over there. We will be back tomorrow with another offseason preview. Go hit that subscribe button over on YouTube, over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We thank all of you for coming and hanging out with and rocking with us. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.